I fell in love with James Bond when I was 9 years old. That was the year Dr. No came out, and I wanted to write films, I wanted to write books, I wanted to be James Bond, and here now I am finally the author of a James Bond book, Trigger Mortis.
How did you approach writing a character that was written in the 1950s but give him a more modern twist?
Well, it was a question of sort of squaring the circle. You take certain attitudes and views which are prevalent in the 1950s, which aren't very attractive these days, and the question is do you stick with them? I mean, does he smoke all these cigarettes? Does he have this slightly not attractive attitude to women, for example, or do you change that? What I did was to keep it intact, but at the same time to try and comment on it, make it sort of to give it a little modern twist, so Bond learns a lesson or two in the course of the story.
And how difficult is it to bring your own creative wishes to a character that was created by someone else?
Well, I've sort of been mentioning off and on that I really would quite like to write a Bond novel, and when they finally did approach me with a telephone call about a year and a half ago, I was absolutely exuberant. I then went and met them. I had a first lunch in a very tiny restaurant in London, in a basement, all rather James Bond actually, quite clandestine. And then I was invited to go meet the estate, who are quite a fearsome bunch actually. That is the family of Ian Fleming, people who knew him, who were related to him, and who now control all the books and everything that goes into them. But actually, although I was quite nervous about meeting them, they were very, very helpful and friendly. It was a fantastic collaboration, and they were very much instrumental in making the book as good as I hope it is.
And you've given Bond a new outspoken gay best friend, and why did you choose to do that?
A lot of what Bond says and a lot of things he does could be seen as, in this day and age, offensive. And so it seemed a good idea to put a modern-ish voice in there, this man Duggan, who is a friend, who, as you say, is gay, who can say to him, you know, James, your attitudes really are primeval. This is the 20th century, for heaven's sake, get a grip. And I quite liked that. It's a slightly post-structuralist sort of approach to Bond. It also meant that I could keep the character intact. I didn't tamper with Bond himself, but I just gave him a little nudge from his friend.
Your new book is out ahead of the new Bond film, Spectre. And was there any collaboration between you and the studio about possible plot lines or storylines?
Absolutely not, no. You have to understand that the Bond estate is divided into two halves. There's the books, which is run by the sort of Bond family, and there are the films, which is run by Eon Productions. And they are on opposing, they're not opposing sides, they work very closely together, but they have very different businesses. And Trigger Mortis, my book, is on the book side.
And who's your favourite on-screen Bond?
It would have to be Sean Connery. I mean, I'm of that age where I remember the first films, and From Russia with Love, Dr. No, Goldfinger. These were the films I grew up with, so I have a real affinity with Sean Connery. Although that said, I'm also a big fan of Daniel Craig. I think he's done really interesting things with the character, and I can't wait to see Spectre.